Hi guys, you're welcome back. Thanks for clicking.
An American woman recently shared a heartwarming story about her encounter with a Muslim man, a moment that profoundly touched her and challenged her view of kindness. Through her TikTok account at The Modern Mental Mom, she recounted the incident that unfolded when she and her young child were attending a fair. They were enjoying their day together when heavy rain suddenly fell, forcing them to cut their visit short and find a way back home. As the rain poured down and the fairgrounds grew busy and hectic, a Muslim man stepped forward without a second thought and offered much-needed help. His kindness stood out all the more because amid a crowd of thousands of people, no one else chose to come forward, except for this one person.
You will not believe what this Muslim man did to me and my son. Me and my kids went to the Renaissance Fair and we didn't know that it was supposed to rain. We're there for about an hour and it starts like torrential downpouring, okay? So bad to where my shoes and my ankles completely covered in mud and we're just soaked through it with rain. And as we're walking through the crowd, okay, and I'm talking hundreds, maybe thousands of people are surrounding us, heading back to the car, this Muslim man stops me, and I know he's Muslim because he's wearing a keffiyeh, and he's with like his, I want to say 10-year-old son. This guy had the audacity to offer me and my son his umbrella. The only thing he had that was sheltering himself and his own child, he was willing to give up and give to a total stranger to shelter me and my son. I had to basically beg him like, no, it's okay, because we're heading back to the car right now. I don't want to take your umbrella if we're just going to be in the car in the next like 10 minutes. But I have to tell you, it was such like a quick experience, but I will remember that kindness and compassion for the rest of my life.
For the woman, this small but powerful act made a deep and lasting impact on her. She felt profoundly touched and grateful, not just for the physical help, but for the kindness of a complete stranger who crossed boundaries of culture, religion, and background to ease her struggles. It was a vivid reminder that compassion knows no borders. It can come from anyone, regardless of their beliefs or their way of life.
In a congregation, a professor from Uganda initially spoke about all things related to Christianity. He then asserted that the Bible is often wielded as a tool to establish fraudulent enterprises, referencing practices that exploit religion or biblical verses for dishonest gain, such as religious fraud.
When I travel across the continent, in many countries, I am amazed by the number of buildings whose owners claim are churches. In a distance of 1 kilometer, you will see different denominations. The Bible is now the greatest instrument in creating false industries in the continent of Africa. And that is not to be celebrated. It is to be frowned upon.
He also expressed admiration for the discipline of Muslims in fulfilling their religious obligations. Initially, congregants laughed upon hearing his remark about the short interval between sinning and repentance among Muslims, assuming he was mocking them. However, they fell silent as he drew a comparison between Muslims and David in the Bible.
One day, a friend of mine who is a Muslim, and I love Muslims, because they are more prayerful than us. If there was a Muslim in this assembly, there would be a segregated prayer place there. They remember their gods on average 5 times a day. So even the time between sinning and repenting is made very short. So they are like David in many ways. But we Christians, we remember our God once a week, many of us.
His comment, like David in many ways, alludes to the biblical story of King David, known for his sincerity and diligence in worship despite personal flaws. Therefore, his statement underscores his admiration for the discipline exhibited by Muslims. The professor then shifted his focus to the situations in Uganda and Kenya, where most people are Christian. He pointed out behaviors that contradict religious teachings, such as high rates of theft. Surveys indicate that moral decline is common in Christian communities. However, it is essential to avoid judging a religion solely by the actions of its followers. Rather, it should be evaluated based on the teachings in its sacred texts.
And I was telling you about this Muslim friend of mine. And he was telling me at one time, whether this was true or untrue, I do not know, but at an airport in one of the Arab countries, they had a message: you can leave your bag, they are safe, there are no Christians here. If you come to Uganda here, they'll tell you they are possibly 70% Christian. Kenya, 90% Christian. We are all Christian, but we are thieves everywhere. Christian thieves. Rediscovering mentorship from a biblical perspective. Thou shalt not steal is one of the commandments. But we are thieves.
Okay, guys. So the last statement he made that said, we are thieves, is trying to refer to Christians. Is it trying to say that it's only Christians that steal? Or all thieves are just based on their in the Christianity religion? Because you cannot just base that one on religion. Thief doesn't have to do with religion. It can be any religion. A person can thief and be in any kind of religion. So I just want to point that. But I love the first video, guys. The woman spoke about the kindness of the Muslim, even though he had a child with him and saw another woman with another child. He was ready to offer his umbrella to a total stranger, a Muslim, and letting go of his umbrella while he himself he needs it to walk inside the rain. But the woman was perplexed and I had to tell the man that, see, I have an umbrella. My car is not far from here, so I don't need it. That's the reason why she could not accept the umbrella, because as if not for that, I'm sure if it's another person, the person would have accepted the umbrella, even though he doesn't have a car. But just that, step she took, the person took to offer, her that kindness is what, blew her mind. And she was like, wow, Muslims are really kind people. And that's one thing I love about them. And that was a very beautiful one. The second video was about the man talking about, the spiritual life of a Muslim. The spiritual life of a Muslim. That Muslim pray every day, even though they sin. Them repenting for their sin is very short, because imagine a Muslim man praying 5 times daily and he commits sin in next minute. Before he prays again, he would have asked for forgiveness. But he said Christians are not like that, because they only remember God once in a day, majorly on Sundays. They will commit sin throughout the day, and before they will ask God for forgiveness, they wait till they go to church on Sunday, or they have communion with God. But for Muslims, he said Muslims are like David. Even though David has a lot of flaws, but he always makes sure that he does not forget God anytime he makes such flaws. So he said he respects Muslims for that. That is not saying that they are perfect, they don't sin or they don't do things, but he just loves their prayer life, that no matter how they commit sin or sin, they will always run back to God at a very shortest period of time. And that's one thing that you really love about them. I really love these 2 videos, because the first one spoke about kindness and the second one spoke about the prayer life of a person, of a Muslim, and the kindness of a Muslim. The first one, kindness of a Muslim, and the prayer life. So he's just trying to let us understand that, as a Christian or other religion, we can do better. We can show kindness and we can make our spiritual life, much more better. We should not always wait for certain days before we commune with God or pray to God. That's a very beautiful one. I enjoyed every bit of this video. Let me know your point of view, guys. Don't forget to smash the subscribe button for more. Like, share, and comment. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay blessed. Bye.